There was an evil version of myself that would kind of come out at random moments. He would commit the crimes that I would have to solve as a detective. I'd be like solving murders that I'm committing myself.
Oh, Celeste, the girl with my name tattooed on her chest. Smell her on my clothes like cigarettes. I hear her voice each time I take a breath. I'm obsessed. These are the lyrics of an alleged track by David released in December of 2023. About 5 months later, in April of 2024, Celeste Rivas Hernandez would go missing from her family's house in Lake Elsinore. And as you guys probably know, on September 8th, 2025, Celeste's body was confirmed to be found dismembered in the front trunk of a Tesla car at an impound lot that was registered in David's name. At the time I'm recording this video, it has now been almost 3 weeks since this missing 14-year-old girl was confirmed to be found unalived in a car registered to David. Yet, we haven't heard a word from David himself or from authorities on whether or not David is even the prime suspect of the case. But there's a slew of deeply disturbing evidence that David and Celeste have had a relationship for years, and his involvement in her life may have been the reason she went missing in the first place. So let's take a look at everything we know, why David has not yet faced repercussions for this horrible crime, and when we can expect an update into the real truth behind what happened between David and Celeste. As of the time of this recording, David has hit a peak within his mainstream success. It's very disturbing to say that after being tied to such a horrible crime, and at the very least having some sort of relationship with a girl who was just 14 years old, that only now is David seeing more success than he ever has before. He recently logged the biggest day he's ever had on Spotify with over 12 million streams in one day. And of course, this spike seems to stem from the heightened curiosity due to the case, with most people not even knowing who David was before this tragedy struck. So just to catch you guys up to speed, if you didn't know, David himself is a young man, just about 20 years old, who quickly rose to mainstream stardom, making depressive, emo love songs, which he attributes the inspiration deriving from alter egos and writing vicariously through the relationships and stories told by other people around him.
I would sit down and try to find things for inspiration because I was just writing these beautiful, beautiful songs. My mother was like, where is these lyrics coming from? You're homeschooled. What do you know about love? What do you know about heartbreak? I would go on Discord and I would go on Fortnite and I would not just let people talk to me and just tell me about their lives. And I would basically just take their lives and write songs about them.
David's intention initially wasn't even to become a massive mainstream superstar. In fact, he only started his career in music out of sheer coincidence. He was actually a pro Fortnite player before making his first track, posting his gameplay onto YouTube, but he kept getting hit with copyright strikes due to using other people's music in his videos. That's when his mother suggested that David start making music of his own. And once he did, he blew up pretty quickly. David was using the bare bones to create his music, recording in his sister's room, and writing and laying the vocals down all on his iPhone. Things took off for David when he was around 18 years old on September 7th, 2022, when he released the music video for his song Romantic Homicide. This song catapulted David into superstardom, currently sitting at over 185 million views on YouTube. There's something a little more disturbing about the date of September 7th. It's not only the date that that music video was released, it's also the date of Celeste Hernandez's birthday. And the lyrics almost paint a vivid story into exactly what we'd see unfold 3 Septembers later in 2025. In the back of my mind, you died, and I didn't even cry. No, not a single tear. And I'm sick of waiting patiently for someone that won't even arrive. In the back of my mind, I killed you, and I didn't even regret it. I can't believe I said it, but it's true. I hate you.
The back of my mind, but then you think that I'm gonna say you died, but I say I killed you. So it's not like the thought of her is gone by itself was something that she did. It was something that I decided to do. I killed her in the back of my mind. But it's really more of a figurative I killed you, especially in the back of my mind. I try to stress that in the back of my mind. That's why I say it so loud. In the back of my mind, you died.
These are the lyrics of the song that shot David up into superstardom, with the music video released on the date of Celeste Hernandez's 12th birthday. But did David even know Celeste at the time? Well, with this entire case unfolding, of course, the internet did what it does best and went down the rabbit hole of the history behind David and Celeste, digging up a slew of evidence that really makes it hard to believe that David was not, at the very least, somehow involved with her tragic passing. So let's review everything we know. Like I said, a decomposed, dismembered body was found in the front trunk of a Tesla registered to David on September 8th, 2025, after the workers of a tow yard noticed a foul odor coming from the car. The car had been impounded after being reported as abandoned. The vehicle had been ticketed and flagged for parking violations beforehand. The car had allegedly been parked for months just a couple blocks down from a Hollywood Hills home that David had been renting. Once the body was found in the car, investigators obtained a search warrant and conducted a 12-hour forensic search of that Hollywood Hills home. During that search, law enforcement used luminol to detect trace amounts of blood and searched everything from the sinks, drains, floors, etc. They also collected fingerprints, hair samples, and other forensic material like electronics and computers from the property. A private investigator had reported that he received the original complaint that the Tesla was abandoned that was dated August 26, 2025. The complaint also noted a big dent in the rear of the car, but no odor was mentioned when the initial complaint was filed that the Tesla had been abandoned. TMZ also reported that Celeste's body, which was found in the car, was released to her family, aka her remains were turned over for burial. TMZ also reported that Celeste and David both had a SHHH tattoo on their right index fingers. And while interviewing her mother, TMZ reports that her mother said Celeste had a boyfriend named David. Celeste's family also said she had run away multiple times prior to her disappearance and came from a troubled home, which detectives are now trying to trace. So let's trace back the steps. We know that Celeste officially went missing in April of 2024. However, she didn't actually disappear without a trace. She was caught on security camera footage one time she left her family's house. At around 7 a.m. on March 19th, 2024, in Lake Elsinore, you can see a person in a black hoodie and white pants who was identified by her family as Celeste herself. She's walking down the street. TMZ had obtained this footage from a liquor store just down the street from where Celeste's family home was. This liquor store was right next to where Celeste would take the bus to go to school every single day. But this day was different. You could see her passing the liquor store, jogging, almost to get away from her home. Celeste had ran away multiple times in 2024. That's going to play an important role in this story shortly when we unpack when David actually met Celeste. TMZ reports that when Celeste was running past this liquor store on this surveillance footage in March of 2024, this wasn't actually the first time she ran away. She ran away multiple times before this in the previous months, and police had actually found her in Hollywood and returned her back home. Remember, David was renting out a house in the Hollywood Hills. Also remember, Celeste had just turned 14 years old when she escaped what's described as this troubled home. The owner of this liquor store that had the surveillance footage of Celeste running away tells TMZ that Celeste's sister came to him on March 19th to ask to review the surveillance footage to see if Celeste was caught on it. Ellie Nadaf, the owner of the liquor store, did an interview with TMZ where he emphasized that Celeste was a beautiful, quiet young girl. She didn't seem wild, and he built a connection with Celeste's family, trying to help them find her the second time she ran away in March of 2024.
I'm here for 11 years. I see this kids growing up in front of my eyes. It's hurt for you see all this generation like lost by social media, and it's sad. She's beautiful, quiet, shy girl. It's not like from the wild girls, and I shocked when I find out first time when she ran away or missing.
And you've been interfacing with her family in the years that she's been gone, right?
Yep. For when she missing first time, her sister coming here asked me, and we start looking at the camera to find out where she go and if we can find anything to get her back. It's hard for all the neighborhoods.
And these images that we've looked at, they're from over a year ago. This is the first time she ran away.
The second time.
Oh, the second time she ran away.
Second time after they bring her back. Second time in March 19, I think this what happened. This one, her sister coming here to. I said for a couple of days to check the camera till we find out exactly when she ran away.
Now, what's interesting is Celeste was actually spotted again in June of 2024, 2 months after her missing persons report came out, and it was actually on her cousin's TikTok. So, where does David step into the picture? Well, regarding how other people around them perceived David and Celeste's relationship, people who knew and partied with David believed that Celeste was his girlfriend, and many were stunned to learn that she was only 14 years old. Some of them even thought she was a USC student around 19 years old because that's how she presented herself. Law enforcement sources say Celeste had multiple fake IDs, allowing her to move around freely and appear older than she was. This explains why many assumed that she and David were simply a couple, even seeing them together at 18-plus events. They even did a live stream together way back in 2023.
Mitochondria?
I gotta stop with him if you even. We need to delete this.
Maz, can we delete all VODs? And then as soon as the stream ends, delete the stream too? I media trained you.
No, you didn't.
That's controversial.
It's controversial of kids.
Really good.
Okay,
It's been a good one. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Mwah, 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 mwah. Oh my! Delete everything. Delete everything. Everything goes.
And you could see on the bottom of this video, there's an alleged screenshot of an alleged conversation between Celeste and David on Discord, where she said, "My parents are so effing annoying. They won't let me see you perform." And David replied, "Don't worry, I'll fix it." Again, this is all alleged, but Discord will play a very important role in this story very shortly. And fans who followed closely, or maybe even just casually, because again, Celeste was allegedly on David's live streams, they had caught on and commented months before she had actually even went missing. February of 2024, someone commented on one of David's TikToks, waiting for LAPD to get you for messing with a 13. There's also alleged photos of David wearing the same wig that Celeste was wearing in a previous picture. What's also very suspicious is the whole situation regarding the Tesla that Celeste was found in. Again, the Tesla is registered under David's name, and it was in August 26th, when a complaint was filed that reported the car as abandoned in the Hollywood Hills. That means that the car had just been sitting there and unattended for too long, essentially. Officers inspected the car on August 27th. By September 3rd, the car was ticketed. By September 5th, the Tesla was towed. And by the 6th, it was registered at the lot. 2 days later, because of the odor coming from the car, they opened the trunk, the front trunk, and found Celeste within it. But this entire time, the 12 days between the car being reported as abandoned until the day on September 8th when Celeste was found in it, the vehicle was never reported as stolen. Don't you think it's a little suspicious that with the car being registered to David, no one from him or his team was ever contacted that the car was abandoned and then towed and brought to an impound lot? And then if they were contacted, they never reported the car as stolen or tried to claim it? You would think if David had no idea on what was in that car, he would immediately try to retrieve it, right? Well, David was on tour at the time that his car had been impounded. He had left LA at that point for weeks. However, a Redditor had allegedly discovered a Tesla key hidden in the gutters right by David's house. Now, later in this video, we're going to touch on more evidence that we have linking David to Celeste and really everything we know about the entire case. But a question a lot of you guys probably have is, why has David not been arrested yet? A body was found in a car registered to his name. The body of a person David allegedly knew. Shouldn't that be enough to, at the very least, detain him? Well, there's a couple things to keep in mind here. Firstly, to arrest someone for a crime, law enforcement generally needs a probable cause, a reasonable belief based on factual evidence that the person committed a crime. At this point in time, it's not enough to simply say David knew Celeste or even that the car was registered under his name. If we're talking about the charge of child endangerment, that's a whole different story, right? The idea of David potentially GROOMing Celeste, her being a young child exposed to an older man when she constantly ran away from home. Right now, officers are looking for the culprit behind her unaliving, not necessarily the predatory nature behind David and Celeste's relationship. And for a more serious charge, like homicide, prosecutors must typically have enough evidence to file formal charges, aka an indictment or charging decision, which means they must show that the evidence is strong enough to support a guilty case. There's no doubt that officers and detectives have a lot more information than they've revealed publicly, and they've been sorting through every piece of evidence they discovered in that 12-hour search of the home David was renting. Their job now is to show that that evidence that they uncovered is enough to support the case of David being guilty of the crime of homicide. In cases involving unaliving, especially when the remains are decomposed or dismembered, the cause of death, time of death, and the manner of death, example, homicide versus accident versus natural causes, those must often be established either via autopsy, toxicology, or forensic pathologists before confidently naming suspects. Investigators may also need forensic linkage, like DNA, fingerprints, blood traces, matching evidence, witness testimony, surveillance, digital data, like communications between David and Celeste. They need all that before they can connect a suspect to the crime with enough certainty to hold it up in court. We know again that officers did search the home for traces of Celeste's blood, her DNA, her fingerprints, her hair, anything to link her to the home that David was renting, which was a couple blocks down from where they found the Tesla that David owned. A premature arrest without sufficient evidence risks wrongful arrest or civil liability, and it could even weaken the case if the evidence is challenged, meaning that officers and detectives must have all their ducks in a row before accusing someone of such a horrible crime. And in many jurisdictions, the burden of proof is higher for violent crimes. Prosecutors hesitate to make an arrest without strong forensics, especially in difficult to interpret cases. Experts say that authorities must wait for autopsy results and forensic confirmation that death was indeed a homicide before charging someone. If the death turns out to be accidental or due to natural causes, the legal path changes. Because the body was severely decomposed, determining the time of unaliving, the cause of it, and linking forensics becomes much more challenging and slower. It's a lot harder to establish what truly happened to this body since it had already been decomposed. And investigators are still piecing together the connection between Celeste and David, how she got into the car, when, where, and under what conditions. That alone is an extremely complex investigative task. Experts who have spoken in the media say that authorities might hesitate to name a suspect until they can build a solid case that can survive legal scrutiny. They also might not have the smoking gun yet, like direct forensic evidence placing Celeste's unaliving inside that property or implicating David in the act. And although TMZ had reported that the search of David's home, or the home that he was renting, used luminol and collected samples, it's unknown whether blood traces or relevant forensic hits were even obtained. So all in all, investigators are obviously still validating and building the chain of proof strong enough for charges against David. But there is most definitely a damning amount of evidence, at the very least affiliating David to Celeste. Remember, Celeste's body was found just one day after what would have been her 15th birthday. Now, sources close to Celeste had reportedly told the Daily Mail that David had been in a relationship with her. One of the sources claimed that David first made contact with Celeste on social media sites and gaming platforms like Twitch when she was only 11 or 12. Remember, David spent a lot of his homeschooled childhood online in Discord chats, reading other people's love stories, stories of heartbreak, and using those stories to craft his own music. That's at least according to him.
I would sit down and try to find things for inspiration. I would go on Discord and I would go on Fortnite and I would not just let people talk to me and just tell me about their lives. And I would basically just take their lives and write songs about them.
According to sources close to Celeste, she met David on one of these very platforms where he grew his entire career. What's fairly interesting is that Celeste's missing person report came up in April of 2024, but her family claimed they last saw her on May 4th, 2024. Her brother, Matthew Rivas, said she allegedly left the home to go see a movie with David and never came back. Matthew told local media his family was aware of the alleged relationship between David and Celeste. He claimed David would regularly pick up his younger sister in the same Tesla, which she'd later be found in. Celeste ran away on at least 3 different occasions in early 2024 before vanishing for good in May of that year. Remember again, Celeste's sister had obtained security footage from a liquor store close to the bus stop where Celeste would take the bus to school, and it showed Celeste running down the street, almost as if she was trying to escape her home. As far as her brother Matthew Rivas, in my previous video about David, maybe I'll link it in the description of this video, I touched on how his alleged Instagram account was actually followed by David, and he had a slew of text messages discussing the disturbing relationship between Celeste and David in more detail. You guys can check that out in that video, but I want to bring you guys some new evidence that we now have. So aside from Celeste's brother, Matthew, telling the media that her and David were dating, remember a couple important details. Celeste had ran away in January 2024. She was picked up by police in Hollywood. In February 2024, sources claim is when David started living in the Hollywood Hills home that was searched by LAPD detectives after Celeste was found in the car registered to David. And again, this was the home that David's manager, John Marshall, had been renting. John Marshall is a manager over at Interscope, the label that David is signed to. But there's a bigger piece of evidence here. A neighbor of that home, someone who lives in a home right next to that one, has now claimed to the U.S. Sun that he saw the singer and Celeste all the time at the home, and he believes that they lived together in that house. The resident of the neighboring home said that he returned to Los Angeles from a trip this week, and he was stunned to hear about the news. He said, "I just got here like yesterday. They were pretty quiet. I never saw the police there and didn't hear them partying or anything. Nothing wild. I was shocked to find out what happened. I didn't know he was a singer, but I knew he had a Tesla because it was always parked outside. He was with the girl regularly, all the time." He's referencing Celeste here, and he recognized her from photographs. He had also said, "I last saw them a couple months ago. I'm not sure, but I thought they were just kids, like a couple 18, 19-year-olds. I had no idea. It's crazy. I'd be in my car and we'd acknowledge each other. We'd say hi. That was about it. When they were heading to the store or whatever. I did ask him about his Tesla because his car was hit and he never fixed it. He didn't really say what happened. Anytime I tried to talk to them, they weren't very engaging. They kept to themselves. I haven't spoken to the police, but my friend who owns the home, aka the home that was right next to the home that David was renting, has spoken to the police." It's also very important to note that the owner of the home that David was renting, I'm definitely going to butcher this name, but Mladen Trifonovic, he confirmed that David's manager signed the lease and he has since asked to terminate it and started moving out their belongings. The owner of the home said they didn't want to be here anymore because of the ongoing circumstances. He also noted that there are 2 security cameras in the front and the back of the home, making it impossible for them to have snuck out a body from the home without those cameras catching him. He does claim, however, that anyone who rents out his property gets full access to the security cameras and footage, and he leaves it all to them. He doesn't have it anymore to respect their privacy. But of course, that's something that law enforcement can now take as evidence. Now, aside from the owner of the home confirming that David's manager had asked to terminate their lease on the property, NBCLA had also retrieved footage of the home showing that movers had moved a bunch of the belongings that were within the home. Likely David or his manager's belongings, as they're trying to pack up and get out of there.
News Chopper 4 was overhead as movers lugged several boxes out of the Hollywood Hills home of alternative pop and R&B singer David. The home is just around the corner from Bluebird Avenue, where LAPD investigators say a Tesla registered to the musician had been parked for at least a month before it was towed. On September 8th, workers at the tow yard discovered the dismembered body of Celeste Rebus inside of the Tesla's trunk after they noticed a strong odor coming from the car.
It's unknown where David is going. He hasn't made a statement yet, but according to TMZ, he was cooperating with authorities. But David wasn't just removing his belongings from the home he was living in. He also removed videos off of his YouTube channel on the day that they recognized Celeste's body in the Tesla. As you can see, on September 17th, 2025, 6 videos were removed off of David's YouTube channel. And later in this video, we're going to touch on some disturbing aspects of David's music, the personas he puts on when recording, and the lyrics within the music, as it kind of all ties back mysteriously to this crime. But it's not just his music that painted a strange picture about the relationships David was having, it's also his social media activity. On February 7th, 2024, David would post a strange TikTok with the caption that read, "When your card declines at therapy and they bring in that one Hello Kitty girl you met in 2021. Keep in mind, in 2021, David would have been 16. Celeste would have been 11. It was reported by sources that David and Celeste initially again met online in social media chat rooms. It's possible it was 2021. We don't necessarily know for sure that the Hello Kitty girl he's referring to is Celeste, but there's some dark details that indicate that it very well is. Number 1, on her missing persons report in April of 2024, it would state that the last time Celeste was seen, she was wearing Hello Kitty Crocs. On the same day that David had posted that TikTok about the Hello Kitty girl he met in 2021, he would also post a picture standing next to a woman who was wearing Hello Kitty Crocs. So remember, David meets this Hello Kitty girl in 2021. He ends up signing a record deal at 17 years old in 2022. And all throughout that year, along with his music, his social media posts were alluding to not just a turbulent relationship, but something deeper. He released a song in May of 2022 complaining about a girl devouring his soul and threatening to unalive her. He would make another song a few days later celebrating a girl that wants to come over. There'd be another song where he accuses a girl of lying and says his thoughts about the girl are getting deadly. Then he'd post another song about how fast the relationship was moving. On May 20th, 2022, he'd post a TikTok that said, "She left, but I expected it." In October of 2022, alleged Discord messages within David's Discord would show David writing the message, "Is Celeste in here?" And Celeste would reply saying, "I just joined, LOL." This would be around the time where David signed his record deal and took his first trip out to LA for music. Possibly the first time he met Celeste in person as well, because keep in mind, they met online initially. In November 2022, he would release a song called Notes from a Wrist, which contained lyrics like, "I wanted you to take my soul, but you left it with me in the name of love. Run away from home again." In April of 2023, David would post a TikTok about being super sad that his girlfriend had left him. He'd also release a music video that month for a song called I'm Here For You, featuring what many people call a Celeste lookalike. There's an alleged screenshot of a text conversation between David at 18 years old and his high school ex at 16 years old, both of them residing in Texas, and David emphasizing to her they need to break up because he's going on tour. A few months later, on September 7th, Celeste's 13th birthday in 2023, David posts a TikTok that says, POV, you guys when you hear the saddest songs I've ever made tonight. And the next day, September 8th, 2023, he releases his EP, The Lost Petals. Just a few days later, he would actually join SZA on her SOS tour, opening up for her. And by December of 2023, Celeste and David officially appear to be, at the very least, good friends. David posts a picture of him and seemingly Celeste on December 12th, 2023. And on December 13th, 2023, someone responds to a picture of David and seemingly Celeste by asking, who's the girl? And David replies, you're a fed. 10 days later, December 23, 2023, is when David would allegedly record the song titled Celeste that would eventually leak online. In January of 2024, Celeste appeared with David on a live stream in California. That's the clip I played you guys earlier in this video. Later that same month, David would post a picture on TikTok of him holding a Hello Kitty mug and wearing a Hello Kitty shirt, saying who had the best outfit in 2016. Someone would comment on the TikTok saying, can you adopt me? And David would reply to the comment, tagging an account by the name of 0907, saying, should we adopt her? Keep in mind the date 0907 is the same date of Celeste's birthday, September 7th. He would also post a picture onto his close friend's Instagram story of him with a girl, seemingly wearing the exact same sweater that Celeste was wearing in the live stream with him. The next month, February 2024, is when David's manager Josh Marshall began renting the home in the Hollywood Hills. That same month would be the first time that we'd get a missing persons document of Celeste. Keep in mind, authorities have said Celeste went missing multiple times in 2024. And before March, the time when she went missing and they saw her on surveillance footage from that liquor store, the time before that, they had found her in Hollywood. In March of 2024, David would celebrate his 19th birthday. And people in his Discord chat would discuss how he's dating a girl by the name of Celeste. April 2024, Celeste officially goes missing once again. There were alleged text messages between Celeste and her friend talking about how David found out she was with another guy. I touched on that in my previous video about David. You guys can check that out. And again, I want to emphasize, in that same month of May of 2024 is when Celeste's brother says she vanished with David after he picked her up in his Tesla Model X to go see a movie. Remember, in May, Celeste is texting her friend about her being with another guy aside from David. And in May of 2024, that same month, David would repost a TikTok talking about how his girlfriend is defending another man to him. David would also make a bunch of strange allusions on TikTok to Hello Kitty. He posted himself building a Hello Kitty skateboard onto TikTok with the caption saying, Hello Kitty comes first, I don't make the rules. And ultimately, a source had told the Daily Mail that Celeste continued to keep contact with her friends for more than a year after officially being reported missing in April of 2024. But all messages and calls from her had abruptly stopped in late July or early August of 2025. About a month before, David's abandoned Tesla was found in LA. So as far as the timeline, that's the gist of what we have. But we also have an interview from someone who is claiming to be the mother of one of Celeste's friends, a friend who had grew up with Celeste, who went to school with her, someone who Celeste was very open to about dating David. And she clarified several things I do really want to emphasize again. This person could easily be making all of this up. This could very well not be the mother of one of Celeste's friends, but she has a lot of details to this story that seem like if she wasn't actually involved and her son was not friends with Celeste, then at the very least she's been very, very closely keeping up with every single detail from this case. And she goes on to emphasize that Celeste, when she went missing, went traveling with David as he was on tour. I spoke in my last video about how David was pictured in Lake Elsinore, just a couple minutes away, walking distance from Celeste's childhood home. And he was seen in a picture handing money or a bag of some sorts to someone else. This person giving the interview, who's claiming to be the mother of one of Celeste's friends, emphasizes that David was indeed handing money to this individual in the picture. However, it was for a dirt bike purchase or some sort of gift, not necessarily a bribe. She goes into detail about a bunch of things. I want to emphasize again, this is all alleged. This could all be fabricated, but I'll play it for you guys so you can hear her piece together a couple details of the story.
So they were friends for a while, and they did end up dating. There was, like, my son would come home and tell me, Celeste would tell him that there was issues at home, and him and other friends would see, marks like bruises on her, and she would say it was from her mom, and she would always talk about wanting to run away, but it was initially to get away from her mom. David was never mentioned, and she did run away, and that's when we found out about David and who she was actually really talking to. We did, multiple people went to the school about the abuse allegations when she initially ran away, and the mom was investigated. I was told she was cleared from all abuse allegations. So where the bruises came from, I'm not positive, but around that time she was already hanging out with David. She already knew him. And from my understanding is the cops did initially bring her back, and the mom was kind of sleeping in her room with her with the door locked to make sure she wouldn't run away again. But she did, unfortunately. But once everything about the David situation came out, she was very, like, when she went to school, she was very open about who she was with. She didn't keep it a secret. She told a lot of people. When we did find out about who she was with and she ran away again, she had sent my son a text saying that she'll always miss him and she thanks him for being kind to her. She blocked everyone except I think she forgot about one person. And she was pictured, I want to say it was either New York or San Francisco. So she made it there within hours because she was posted, I forgot what it was, but it was deleted right away. And then that person ended up being blocked as well. I do know the kid that was pictured taking the bag. He's been talking and cooperating with the cops. There is another kid who was, I'm trying to figure out if the money that was given that day, because there was a dirt bike purchased for one of the friends too. So I don't know if that was the money that was in the bag that was used for the dirt bike or if that was a separate kind of bribe gift. But he is also cooperating with authorities. The last anyone physically heard from her was the kid that was pictured taking the bag, and he actually had told my son that Celeste told him to tell my son hi and that she missed him. Just mind-boggling to me that, because when she did leave the second time, there was multiple people that went to the school and authorities, like, we know where she's at, like, can someone do something? And I don't know, like, what the mom did. I don't like the fact that they're still using the missing persons flyer from when she first went missing and was found and she came back.
Which one was the first one? I'm going to show
this narrative that she was gone since
the
date on the poster. You know, the sad thing, like, I had texted one of the security guards I'm close with at the school. She's been there for years and she's seen my kids grow up and Celeste grow up. And I had texted her when they had confirmed it was a teenager, 14 to 15. And I was like, hey, has anyone heard from Celeste? When is the last time anyone's heard from her? And she replied, no one's heard from her since last year. I'll find out more information when I get to work. And a couple hours later, she was like, it's her. And that's when this news started breaking that it was confirmed to be Celeste.
Exactly.
This is like the last time I physically saw her because I was dropping off my sons at school. And I believe Celeste was in the car in front of us in the drop-off line. And when she got out of the car, she just looked absolutely like mad. And she slammed the car door so hard and she just had this look on her face. Like, so something definitely happened that morning, but that was, and I wish I remember the date, but yeah, that was physically the last time I saw her and she was mad.
And I want to cap this off by just kind of reflecting on the characters that David portrayed throughout his music, the different alter egos that he brought out in the dark lyrics of his songs. David said that the music video for one of his most famous songs brings to life an idea he had about a detective solving murders that his alter ego commits, and he's comparing himself to Brad Pitt in Fight Club. The music video in question is for Romantic Homicide, the same music video released on Celeste's birthday, and it introduces David's alter ego Atami, a name that is Japanese for pain. He also says he was writing his own anime series at one point about a detective with an evil alter ego that commits unalivings, which the detective then has to solve. David says that the alter ego is basically an agent of chaos. David says the evil version would pop up at random moments, and he says his song and music video for Romantic Homicide allowed him to express those ideas, stating, "I put that all on screen, and me and Atami, the alter ego, had a great time just like chopping it up and getting to kind of merge creative ideas on the entire thing."
An evil version of me named Atami, which means pain in Japanese. He's basically an agent of chaos and kind of my alter ego. And the story went like I was a detective and there was an evil version of myself that would kind of come out at random moments. He would commit the crimes that I would have to solve as the detective. As the detective, I'd be like solving murder that I'm committing myself. And it was like a cool little story. I didn't think anything would come of it.
But there was another music video released on Celeste's birthday, David's song Rehab. In the music video for that song, his alter ego cuts the arm off a petite brunette female character after he sings "It's too much for me to handle," white rose petals, broken hearts, and bloody sandals, body stacked on top of another, good undercover, too bad for each other now. And I'm sure by the time I post this video, more details will unfold, more mysterious, strange social media activity or song lyrics will be carefully dissected. And it will only be a matter of time before this case gets some answers and Celeste's family finally gets some closure. They held a little memorial for her in her hometown, and ultimately all we can do is pray for her loved ones and hope that whoever committed this horrible atrocity gets the justice they deserve.